Hey, I'm Sven Masterson, co-founder of Mentoring Men, and I want to talk to you in this video about the idea that, or the question or concern, is it too late? Is it too late to save this relationship in particular? A lot of the men that come into our community do so because they're experiencing extreme marital crisis. They are facing separation, a pending divorce, maybe an emotional or physical affair. We talk to a lot of men whose wife said, I need space. A lot of men who had a wife say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. These kinds of things. And to these men, it looks like the relationship is just at the point of catastrophic loss. And naturally, especially being men, they want to know, can this be fixed? Because men carry around this kind of inner tension, this question all the time about, is it worth it? Is it worth it? We look at everything. Is that going to be worth it? Is that going to be worth it? And when a man thinks about, hey, there's going to be effort involved to save this marriage, the question, is it going to be worth it, comes up in another way, which is, can it be saved? And what that man doesn't realize is he's experiencing his brain doing what brains do, which is to scan the future and try to figure out what's around the bend. What's going to happen tomorrow? What happens next month? And it's really great that we have this capacity, that we have this organ called the brain. You know, if I'm out in the foothills in California where there's mountain lions, I'm very thankful to have this organ that kind of scans the environment and looks for danger in the future and tries to protect me from that. But this can actually really work against a man when he's having a relationship problem, a romantic relationship problem, because that same capacity he has to scan the future and try to predict it to keep him safe starts being on hyperdrive. These men are men they like to call themselves hypervigilant, although we would say they're hypo-resilient. Their brain is scanning, kind of figured out, and so they start kind of becoming like part soothsayer, part psychic. They tend to believe they're far more telepathic than they really are, and they start trying to just acquire massive amounts of data to figure out, can this be saved? Can this be saved? And you know what? All of that is a total waste of time. And I'm going to tell you why in a little bit here, but let's unpack this a little bit more and start with, how do you know that it really is too late? Well, the first one would be the woman that you're in a relationship with is dead. If she's dead, yeah, it's too late. It's too late to save that relationship. Are there any other reasons or ways to know that it's too late? Well, yes, and that involves becoming clear about what your personal values and boundaries demand as hard lines that are like points of no return. For example, for some men, if a woman has cheated, and every man has different kind of criteria for this, but for many men, it's if she's been physical with another man, then that's a hard line for them. It's not something they're willing to try to save. And there's no judgment there. Every man has to figure this out for himself. For me personally, a hard line is this. If we were to divorce, if our relationship ended, my wife and I, and she married another person and divorced them, there's no chance I would take her back. That's just my value system. And so knowing these hard lines, if she's not dead and hasn't crossed one of these hard lines, then I can confidently answer the question, is it too late, with no. Now you might say, but Sven, you don't know how it's going to turn out. Yeah, I know I don't know how it's going to turn out. And no human being has the capacity to read and predict the future with accuracy. So if I don't know how the future is going to unfold, the best way to engage the future is by believing that the best I can do is be the best me every day from now until whatever that future is that I imagine. You see, if I start believing that my thoughts about the future are true and they're not, then I start to condition my day-to-day existence around that reality. Now that sounds like woo-woo to a lot of people, right? Maybe you've watched a lot of law of attraction videos and you're like, hey, this is all just weird. So let me explain it a little bit more neuroscientifically. Your brain, my brain, they're capable of processing, and they do process, about 20, I think it's 20 million bits of data per second. Now a bit, if we were to type out with a typewriter on a piece of paper, one character is 1 bit. So your brain and my brain can receive and process 20 million bits of data and information per second. That's like getting a huge book of information at one time. And our brains are capable of sorting and filtering and looking through this data for things that matter. Now here's the interesting question. How does the brain know what matters? Well, what matters to the brain is what you're consciously thinking about, what you're consciously setting your focus on. I like to use the example all the time in my community about black Jeep Cherokees. It just seems like everywhere I go lately, there are black Jeep Cherokees. Like, what, was there a big sale on them or what? Now, if you know anything about neuroscience, you've probably heard of this thing called the reticular activation system, or the RAS in the brain. And it's believed that the RAS is the part of our brain that can kind of draw something out of that data stream. Kind of like it's a Google search for the data coming into your brain. And so if I give a lot of conscious attention to this idea of black Jeep Cherokees, what'll happen is my brain will go and just kind of be looking for, in the grand scheme of the data coming into my to my brain, it will be on the lookout for black Jeep Cherokees. If you have kids, this is also what makes Where's Waldo books work, right? The Where's Waldo is a thing where we actually look through a copious amount of data for Waldo. And that's using that part of our brain. We're saying, brain, I want you to look at all this visual data and find Waldo. And this part of our brain, if you understand how that works, that it is like this big Google search engine for the data coming into our subconscious awareness, then it becomes really important what you focus on every day. It becomes really important what you think, what you meditate on, what you ruminate on. And so here's the stark reality. When a man is in relationship despair, if he sets his thinking on, it's too late, it's too late, it's too late. From what I just told you, what do you expect the brain is going to find evidence for in that big stream of data, the 20 million bits? It's going to find evidence. Oh, it's too late. It's too late. Did you see that? That's proof. And this is exactly how confirmation bias works. We tend to find and see precisely what we're expecting to find and see. And so when you're trying to restore a broken relationship, it's very, very important what you think about. I've talked to hundreds of men a year. I do this all year round, and I can tell you that the men who can manage to set their focus on something like possibility, where they just leave it open to, like, you know what, I think it could work out. I could foresee it being a lot of work, but I also could foresee that things can get better. They can turn around. I believe that I can grow. I believe there's possibility for me to be a better version of me. Men that can have this inner experience with consistency and reliability tend to, quite honestly, among the people I speak with, they tend to get exactly what they're looking for. And then we also always have, unfortunately, men that just cannot get out of the rut of their catastrophizing. I can't say that word today. Out of their catastrophizing, out of their anxiety, out of their certainty that the future is bleak. And those men generally get, you guessed it, exactly what they're looking for. And so to think about, can it be saved? Can the relationship work? I really want you to start seeing the role that you have to play in answering that question, and that it has everything to do with how you show up in the story. If you believe that you're doomed, you will experience, unfortunately, a doomed outcome. If you believe that you have a possibility, a cool thing happens. Even when the relationship maybe looks like it doesn't work out, you still keep seeing possibility, right? Because what you're focused on is a good outcome. You're focused on wholeness. You're focused on things that are life-giving, and things, quite honestly, to a degree that are under your control. And so what we do in our community is we help men to set that Google search term, the focus of their reticular activation system. We try to help men set that on things that are empowering, agency. And quite honestly, we help them to try to stop setting that on how the relationship turns out and instead focus on their own sense of well-being. Because focusing on things you can't control is a complete waste of time. Focusing on things you can control is an excellent use of time. And so when we use that same capacity we have to set our attention and gaze on something, and we use that to try to experience transformation and growth and wholeness and restoration and empowerment, well, you can guess what happens next. Those things happen. And so if you're out there asking yourself, oh, I don't know, can it work? If she's not dead and a hard line has not been crossed, then I want you to give consideration to your consideration. What are you filling your mind with? Who are you spending your time with? Because a lot of what is on our conscious awareness and attention is what people around us are telling us. So if you're surrounded by a community or a friend group that's telling you, man, give it up, man, kick her to the curb, it's too late, blah, 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 well, guess what? You're going to get that. And you're going to get that because that's what you're filling your mind with. If you want to be around a community of mature, positive, empowered men who have their heart and their mindset on better things, I want to invite you to scroll down and click a link. Well, there's a couple links. One link is a link that you can request a call with me. We could talk about what exactly is your search term set to, what is the outcome you would like, where are you struggling with this catastrophizing and fatalistic thinking, and we could talk about all that in a one-on-one session, totally complimentary, and I would love to do that with you. If you want to jump past that and go right into a community of men who are having these deep and profoundly meaningful and connecting conversations with each other every day, men all over the world who are setting their focus and gaze not on failure and catastrophe, but on being their best self, being their most transformed and whole selves, well, I invite you just to go ahead and do that. You'll see a link below where you can join our community. It's $25 a month. It's a staggeringly good deal. It comes with 20 or so live Zoom community calls per month. It's constant engagement with men. It's very, very deep. It's very, very supporting. And it's very empowering. I could say a lot of words about that, but I want to spare you that because that's not what this video is about. And so I hope you get something from this. I hope you feel more empowered to be very diligent and careful about what you're filling your thoughts with. And if we can help you to make that better, I invite you to connect. With that, I wish you a great day, a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.